quickly time passes. Just like that, we are back to a Monday. Why? Hi in there, Pierre. Oh, funny. It seems a lot of people were entertained about the little debacle involving dairy products. I didn't mean to call you out, though. Hello, Bear Cake Zack. Hello, Dallin. Hold on. Let me see if it actually updated on Discord. There we go. It seems Mitzi is awake. Zitrolipin, they're null foxy, Wonka, a random fox. So, um, I'm checking things at the moment. Also making sure all my cameras are working. Here's one. Here's two. That was out of focus, my bad. And it's a tiny bit up. There we go. A more, well, the forward cam. Hydrate, hydrate. I unfortunately just drank prior to starting stream. Hello, late. And then, oh my god. How are you doing? I'm okay. What's this? Pierre says, well, since then, there is a chance I might have problems with gluten as well. So not only dairy, but you have problems with bread as well. My goodness, talk about not being fortunate when it comes to visiting the local baker. Road trip distractions. Hello, laugh. I can't say my name. Hello, Surfy B. Stars Wolf. Alright, so let's see. I hope my coin is not messed up. Yes, I forgot. It's floating in my. That's okay. Note to self. Maybe bring back the old portions. This isn't working as intended. Hey Gab, actually got a bit of time to stop and say hi. Hello, Hazard. I thought you were having fun along with, you know, Blue and the others. I shall be worth lurking, sure. Why, if it isn't my rotund acquaintance. Hello, Mox. I don't remember if there were other days I adjusted. I may have to revert to FBX after. To self, if you do anything experimental involving the armature of an avatar, test it before going to stream. An early stream I can actually stay for. Early. I was actually online for an hour, and then I saw something wrong with my Avi, and I had to do some in VR chat Unity work twice. But alas, here we are. At least I made it. My vacation just started today, says the ever so busy Mox. 8 days away from work, so a week with a day surplus. Congratulations. Hard worker like you's earned it. Hello, Fluffy. I'm sure you enjoyed the rather turtling flow of traffic last time you were driving, weren't you? The temptation is to simply go one lane to the left and lane split right in the middle. If only, if only.
Almost touching it will almost do.
That 13-hour drive that should have been 8, says Fluffy. Yes. Congratulations on experiencing what's called traffic. And that's what happens in my country on a day-to-day basis. Mark says I was cheeky and asked the vacation to start after my day off, so I won't have to return until next Tuesday. I have lots of people to see and many others to meet in VR chat. I can't wait to catch up with some folks. And so, how are you this day, Cap? 1. I was fighting the blanket monsters. They are a most terrible adversary, let me tell you that. 2nd, I'm glad my order of this thing called shirataki rice, I think it's called, oh my god, konjac rice. It's supposed to be like a healthier alternative, finally arrived. And I was fiddling around with proportions on one's avatar in order to match it 1:1 IRL. I did some miscalculations, so nothing apparent, don't worry. But aside from that, I'm pretty good. The temptation to play video games is rather strong, mind you. But alas, we have to go stream. Of course, I missed you guys. How can I not? Let me go sit here. Hello, Disney Gator. Hi there, Mystic. Greetings. Sorry I wasn't able to reply to your El Alba photo that you forwarded. I was quite dead. But yeah. I aspire. Oh, yeah. So Vesper says, sorry, Mystic. I also got caught up in chores after work, so I wasn't able to join. And Vesper is also out today, unfortunately. No VR chat right after stream. My goodness. What to do? What to do? Oh well. Mystic replies, oof, but it's so good. I'm at work right now, so I dropped by before going back in. I see. Well, good luck on your, I assume new shift. Didn't you say you got a new schedule and a pay bump? Exclamation point, tip or gamble. I'm just joking, Mystic. You're saving up, you're saving up. I hope you got your full body thing sorted out with a space calibrator and whatnot not working. Well, best of luck, SP Farm. Spafar. Now I wonder where our gluten not so doing wellio Pierre went. Pierre recently shared a picture of their cat. It was most adorable. It's always nice rehoming pets into your home. Vesper says, man, I'm going to be hard-headed though about getting home by 4 at the latest though. I still have chores to do it, and I'm doing homework on my phone. Yeah. And then we can play later. Go like hell dive. After training, I go to second shift, says Mystic, and I heard that game. Hi, Equinox. Ring finger. I cannot wait to obtain that woodcap clouds. I hope it performs, well, as I expect it to be. Not something that'll break after a month or two. Vesper says, I still can't believe I was that scared about playing it. Yeah, Vesper, what was holding you back a whole lot? What was the initial anxiousness? And now here you are, a complete 180, loving the dive, spreading managed democracy to every corner of the galaxy. Teaching the ways of liberty and freedom to all of these aliens one bullet at a time. Wonka says, I'm making breakfast sandwich right now. Should I get yogurt to go with it or granola bar and some milk? Breakfast sandwich, granola bar and milk. Nice and balanced. Mystic replies that once she gets her controller, she'll be set. You'll be good and I'll catch you later. I'll catch you later, Mystic. You have... Oh, I don't want to say have fun at work. But you have a good time. Best of luck. Well, congratulations on full body lane. Oh, is he? Good. Upgrade.
Almost blue, almost doing things we used to do.
Sometimes streaming with just a pure black background works.
And she's all
Fortunately, this seems to be a rather distracting element, doesn't it? Whenever the fundraiser gets filmed, earlier than the deadline, it's gonna disappear and then I'm gonna go into cinematic mode. Promise. Just your typical slime. Speaking of slimes, I recently DM'd a member of my Discord named Mitzi because Vesper needs three replacement slimes. I was offered the cheesecake design or something else. Let's see. It's coming, I say that. I'm glad you find it that way. Emerald says, when I've had time to play this week, I've always had some butter that was quick to join. I can't wait to spread managed democracy alongside you, Hazard. Hey, when will you be home? Do you want to play together when you arrive? Oh, you, sweet summer child. Speaking of which, I wonder where he is. I want cake and I have cake, but it's frozen, so I have to wait for it to thaw before I can eat it. And that is me correcting the syntax of your sentence. Good luck to you having cake soonest. Yes. Gosh, so much negative space. Maybe I just make it like this. Hi. I recently did a shader update. It's should prevent clipping. So if I put my hand on the camera, it will just go all the way there and not like actually go through, which is frankly amazing. Also works when you press your face against somebody else. You won't be creeped out by seeing their ocular innards anymore, their eyeballs. One of the most immersion breaking things could be is when you go in for a smooch towards somebody, you go, and then you see like what's inside their head. Yeah. Thank you, Poyomi. I appreciate the update. I used to find the eyeballs funny though. It looked so silly with my Luna beans. Don't worry, I toiled for a while in order for you to get the update. Wouldn't want to leave you hanging, of course. I am messing with proportions. Working for the most part. Does your model have eyeballs? They are very much 3D. Let's see. Whoa, a whole paragraph and a half from Mitzi replying. Getting the PCBs to since Fest is in the US. I see. All you gotta do is let me know how much it is, Mitzi. Look at Doran and Fluffy enjoying gaming time together. And Doran is apparently gonna make some buldak. Carbonara flavor. It's time. Don't skimp on the sauce. Like 100% you have to use the entire sachet. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's a problem. Sync with the head anymore. How's the new apartment treating you? Oh, pretty good, actually. Thanks for asking. How should I say this? I am starting to appreciate how much extra space there is for everything. It's if you've been living for a couple of years used to essentially what is an office cubicle sized living space, and then all of a sudden you're in a 2-bedroom with a sala area, which is my play area, apartment, and a small balcony. It took a while to fill up. Like there's just so much space. But I'm not sure if I posted the most recent photos in the media. I did manage to decorate it quite a little bit, especially the balcony as of late. I strung up some lights, some stars, some yellow LEDs, and put some rustic elements to it, like wooden furniture. I dare say it's quite cozy, yes.
Almost flew.
Equinox says, and also, did you rig your own face tracking? This is not out of the box. I built upon the template of Hantor. You know, Hantor sells all the nice face tracking for various avatars. over at Gumroad. And I said, it's it's a shoe that looks nice but doesn't fit quite right. So here I am doing a little modifications to it. I've, let's say, tweaked around 60% of the shape keys. But I'm not saying what I made is better, please. It's just all for personal preference, really. So you could say I have a one of a kind face tracking. It's not a template, yeah, template setup. Not so good with the English. Vesper says they finally started selling it at the retail store I worked at. I didn't pick up any on my way out though. Maybe next time you have a chance, grab the rose flavor. For me, it's the best. Not only is it creamy and cheesy, it also have hints of being smoky. It's delicious. The bulldog rose, an amalgam of umami and spice. Emphasis on the last part. But again, just make sure it chives. No, your scallions get smaller. Get some QP mayonnaise. And my secret, a dollop of whipped cream. And then a raw egg on top. And then get your preference for the meats and the toppings. Dye some ham, some Korean sausage. And then you go cook the bulldog. Make sure there's enough water so it's not dried out, and you end up with a nice thick saucy mix. Delicious. Take my word for it. This. I got enough money for my trackers by selling my used techs as late. Good. Why throw it away when someone could actually use it? Just a CPU and a cooler cover for 50. Commissioned the maker. Alright. Sweet. Congrats. Oh, hi there, Kai. Yeah. Time to get back to work, says Emerald. Good luck at work. I hope you have a good time. Work, work, work. You know, it's refreshing not having to deal with TikTok's incessant nonsense. Having you as my chatters, Twitch, surely is a sight for sore eyes. What's this? Is that God? My goodness, hi there. Kamusta? Magandang umaga. Whipped cream, like the sweet stuff. No, sorry, not whipped cream, my bad. Full cream, full cream. One of a kind modified face tracking setup. There we go. That sounds more accurate. What's new, Cat? I'm just waiting for Battlefield 6. I've been passing the time with Helldivers for now. And also recently, me and a bunch of friends reobtained For Honor. Well, reobtained, it's only me. Vesper though. Ah, yes, Vesper I managed to convince to get said game. I can't wait for tomorrow where we'll practice our sparring. A showcase of skills and patience. And most of all, reflexes. Net is acting like crazy. Oh, are you using Globe? My Globe's been, well, there was an outage, or during the last week, I think, for a few hours. Wonka says, for meal, forever love cheesy bulldog or any kind of cheesy noodles. You and me both. Gaia says, getting a Steam frame. Oh, the new one. If Valve actually has the um, based on what I've seen, isn't it essentially just Steam's version of the quest? It isn't actually the deck card that we're all like looking forward to. I don't know. Maybe once I have more information. I haven't really researched about the Steam frame. I mean, if it has good face tracking and it works with my present lighthouse setup. Excuse me. Oh, I have hiccups, my goodness. I was about to say, full cream sounds better than whipped cream. I don't know how well whipped cream would go with it. I mean, perchance. Hey, Geb, I decided to leave the Derg behind now. Congratulations. Did get the Norton Aspel when it came out, and I'm slowly falling in love with it. My vote is on the Norton Aspel. It's got such a brusco, yet elegant stance to it, you know. Also, it's an uncommon species. Unlike every fox, every cat, every nova that you would see in every corner. At least you're a snake with feline attributes to it. Us, no, I wouldn't call myself a dragon. I don't have the horns, I don't have the wings. I'm not as prestigious as they are. Us lizards, though, scalies, were few and far between. The Nardos are there, sure, but they are the softest dragons I've seen. The next one would be what's this? The Aster, and the other one from Foxy Paws. But they fill a specific aesthetic niche. I was gonna say niche, that's how I used to call it. I was joking around with Fluffy how the Aster Dragon was more of a, like the e-boy of furries, right? Gonna be working on it one day, says Fluffy. Gonna be fun. Yes, look forward to it. The difference is availability of assets and looks for Abby, says Vesper. The better it looks, the more assets for it, and the more popular it gets. I mean, if you can actually easily make any clothing fit on your avatar. I've been advising this to my friends. Hey, go research about robust weight transfer because it will do like 80% of the work, and then you just manually weight paint the rest. For example, do you see this coat I'm wearing? This is for the Rexonium. This is for the Hyanid. My straps, you see on the left one? You can't really see it from this angle. And my goggles are for the Noah Beast. It's a mix and mash of things, really. You can make anything work once you fiddle a little bit with Blender. I'm really thankful to all the friends I had who helped me when I was had very little knowledge on the topic. God replies, my globe is okay on my end. Heck, I got a free speed boost too. Was having issues with multi-streaming earlier. For some weird reason, it's not cooperating. Oh. Whoa, what happened to my calibration? I have, what's this? What's your plan, God? I have plan 2899. They say it's like 750 or the 800. But in reality, Steam is throwing me like 900 to 1 gigabytes worth of download. That's really fast. How much experience do you have with Blender and Unity now? I would call myself vastly inexperienced until probably late of last year. My journey in 3D started sometime December 2023. I said, you know what? I want to learn how to be a VTuber, but at the same time, I saw VR chat. Like, I want to learn how to make a VR chat avatar, and so I dove into YouTube a month. Every day, I was watching Rainhead. I was watching. Oh goodness, I cannot remember their name, but I was watching a bunch of tutorials on YouTube on how to make avatars from scratch. Couple of weeks later, I somehow got something up and running, and it actually had face tracking. I followed the steps and I was able to bake the pie, per se, but I actually never really understood much of what was going on. I mean, it somehow came out okay. And looking back at it now, it's like, oh my goodness, I could have sculpted it better. I could have retopologized the whole thing and whatnot. Oh, the weight painting by the armpits, I could have fixed it. It's like these things they came on like later because I got help from Kaya, I got help from Silly Wicker, I got help from Toy with the Trues, and of course there's Crazed Kajit. You know, these people are the pillars of my knowledge when it comes to modifying avatars. Um, they extended the patience to teach me the nuances of how to use Blender, really, and well, Unity as well. So yeah, thanks, guys. Now, I would say, fast forwarding a year and a half later, I would say my knowledge is up to enough to kit bash avatars and be able to weight paint things somewhat decently and know my way around Substance Painter. Not the best. Clearly not commission tier. Yeah, yes, sure. I worked on a friend's avatar. Like I helped them and this and that, but I don't think I'm 100% commission worthy just yet. TLDR, long story short, research and practice. It's become my routine to go tinker and fiddle with something like pretty much every day because I find joy in it. It's kind of nice. Like, oh gosh, here's a small problem. How do I go solve it? Vesper says, yeah, I'm planning for my first project to test things out on Blender. And such has to be resculpting clothes to the Luna Beast since I have free time. You know, sculpting is very easy. Drag, pull, fit, make sure nothing clips. But you have to make sure it's bound correctly to your avatar. 1. The armature. 2. You have to select the bones and see how the weight painting is. Which I think is the most troublesome part. I'm sure you can do it. I would be impressed, utterly impressed, should you be able to fit clothes on your own. In the how many years has it been? In the more than 2 decades of having my own computer, not once did I get a virus. And I don't use any antiviruses. Windows Defender is a recent thing. I don't know what kind of moron would get viruses from funny downloads nowadays. Think. Gad says I am planned on 2499. Supposed to be 500. It's more than enough for everyone at home, but because of the speed boost, I'm getting 900 now. Globe One is telling me the free speed boost will expire on 27. Oh, congratulations, you have a plan that's like several hundred pesos cheaper than mine. I have to, yeah, pay quite a bit.
Almost doing things we used to
Says,
do.
Waiting to not what's this? Waiting to not run around like a chicken with my head cut off before I try to take a deep dive into Blender. Oh, trust me, I was so lost. Hello and good evening, Campbells. How are you today? asked Traxor. I'm doing alright. Nothing fancy going on my end.
I see hers too. Now your eyes are red from
Most people I see that gain knowledge, that become well versed in shader work, for example, kind of go the route of the Christmas tree with their avatars. Some people think that the more fancy effects there are, the more particles, the more fancy matte cap, shiny gold, and whatnot there are on their avies, the better they look. I think it's the complete opposite, and the proper term for what they turn into is gaudy. Then again, probably it's just my personal taste. My presentation, I always just want it clean and effective. The fitting of the scene. I guess I just have a more grounded aesthetic. Nothing wrong with theirs, though. May Asakura. Hello, everyone, and hello, Gibbs. I finally got to catch you in your live. Hi. I finally get to catch you on your live. Well, were you perchance from Instagram? Pardon me, I'm browsing. I tend to flit between actually being here in VR and alt-tabbing every now and then. I found you through TikTok actually. Ah, TikTok. Unfortunately, I don't stream there anymore. Met a lot of good people there though. And probably tries as much bad. But yes, welcome. You stopped streaming on TikTok? Yeah, I just didn't want to deal with TikTok chat. Too many low IQ comments going on. Hurt my brain. Wore on my patience. And very much just have Twitch here instead. I can't. It sucks because I think there is like a geo location preference when it comes to you streaming. If you're from the Philippines, the algorithm is gonna push Filipino viewers towards you. They are not my target demographic, no. Can you imagine? Mga kapwa Pinoy natin, nanonood sila ng ganito. May pasensya ba sila? Hindi. 99% of my viewers there, siguro nagmo-Mobile Legends lang, nagti-TikTok, brain rat. Walang taste, walang utak. Kuya, tahol ka nga parang aso. Nakakainis. Kuya, face reveal nga. Yes. Brain dead comments over at TikTok. Yeah. Mm-mm. No, thank you. Each time I would stream, Vesper would ban on average 5 to 10 people. Sometime last year, the metrics were as high as having 30 to 40 people eliminated per live on TikTok alone. And on Twitch, there is maybe one every 4 streams per live. Wasn't fun. Wasn't fun at all. It is, trust me. You know, the viewer count may be high, but you'd have maybe 1 or 2 people that are actually interested in what you're doing. See, Vesper says, yeah, people were not very good on TikTok. We don't like dealing with nonsense, and there was like 30 plus people banned each stream. That's true. I, unfortunately, am one of those streamers with zero tolerance to such things. Like, I can take a joke. I can take abrasive jabs at humor. But I have no patience for idiots. Absolutely zero. Hi. Hi, Nordex. Surprised you're here. Aren't you working? Perchance busy with other things? Blue says hi, Blue. I enjoy seeing new people pop in every stream. Hello, Pierre. Welcome back. God replies to Vesper and says, man, that sucks. I'm sorry, it's just majority of our fellow flips are so weird and most of the time downright draining. Yes. Look, I'm the type who will not waste a single percentage of my energy when it comes to clout. You're gonna see people baiting you to reply and they're gonna say bad things, negative things. I'm just, alright? Sure.
Almost touching it will almost do.
Yes. Hello, Trickster. Oh, God. Index, come on. Why is my pinky, my ring finger not tracking properly? I saw your drawing, Pierre. It looked cute. The Vesper says, yeah, there's weird, and then there is unhinged spamming. That's true. Thank you, Sakura. Sakura, sorry. I appreciate that. I might take a break on Wednesday because I want to play some video games. And so going on, at least I said that. You can't say I never announced it. I wonder what I'm gonna eat later. Here I am thinking about food again. Let's go change the music. It's a bit too somber. There we go. Chicken, chicken, chicken. You know what's funny? What's inside my fridge is actually a bunch of chicken karage. I tried this new place. It's, oh my goodness, I cannot remember the name again. It was what was it? I don't know, but it was chicken on a bowl, a paper bowl, with various sauces. There was the soy garlic one. There was there was the cheesy tomato one, and then there's a spicy and sweet one. I forgot the fourth one I tried. It's cheap. It's like $2 per bowl. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna try their menu and order what's there. A simple microwave, and you have a nice filling meal. God says, I wish I could do that. Getting rid of people who spreads discord within your chat. Close peeps around me wanted to wring my neck just so I can not be too nice to peeps that are well. Don't have clans. Please. As I've said in a video before, once you realize who's worth expending effort to, will you realize how easy it is to achieve peace. Don't waste time on the wrong people, God. It's also very hard to rile me up. You say something bad about me, like, oh, what? No, you're dumb. Like, okay. Sure, if you believe that. Oh dear, that was lying. Hi there, Bunny. Gosh, today's quite a laid-back stream, isn't it? I kind of like it. Fortunately, it's already 1 hour and 47 minutes. That quick. No, it's only been 47 minutes. Where did that extra hour come from? Gab the most awesome streamer. Thank you, Nord. I am looking forward to you getting your index, so you don't have to stand awkwardly anymore during our community meetups. My goodness, is that Beth? The Demon King himself actually landed on my stream. I thought you were on a 2-week hiatus from watching my streams because you have to focus on your vacation. How are you, Beth? Oh, Beth says, I'm hiding inside the camper because 30 miles per hour winds bulldozed my tent. The wilderness experience. That must be fun. That's funny. Oh my god, Meg, I need to see this and draw this. Hello, Tiger Boy. Yeah. Trickster says, I can imagine Geb in the Kung Fu Panda scene with Sifu in a piece. Oh, look, I guess I just learned to be more chillin'. I, as cliche as this sounds, found my center. Find your center. Vesper says, wasting time on wrong people is exactly what got me into the ditch that Geb found me in the first place anyways. You waste time trying to be nice, trying to be compliant. You dig yourself deeper and deeper into a hole where you feel worthless. Yep. Just don't waste your time with the wrong people. No matter how lonely you are, don't. Trust me. Will there be a community meet this week? Being in VR and not having to worry about time is gonna be so good. I might host... No, actually, I've been hosting, alongside Mecha, who's our instructor, exercise classes. And it's held every weekend. Well, at least previously. Now we're working on a new schedule to be on weekdays. So far, there's been 2 sessions. It was last Sunday, and then last Saturday. Well, yeah, 2 days ago. And it's been fun. We've been having several members who are eager about going on a fitness journey with friends in VR, and it's nice. It's fun. Lizard needs a big Vicks breath mint. Vicks breath mint. I know Vicks is like what you stick in your nose, like the inhaler. Mm. Hello, bunny. One's inner peace is more important. That's true, God. It's simple. God, naalala mo nung... Sorry for the Tagalog. Chan. Naalala mo yung sinabi ko sa GC, hindi mo naman kailangan banggain lahat na pumapangga din sa'yo. Like, as in, it's a big waste of time, big waste of energy. Tapos mararile up ka pa, alam mo yun. Kahit sabihin mong hindi ka naapektuhan, okay ka na. Sa totoo, naapektuhan ka sa loob eh. Pag nag-reply ka doon, automatic panalo yung kalaban mo eh. Pero if you set yourself above people that try to bait you, that is probably more humiliating on their end because you didn't even acknowledge their existence. Why would I be bothered by an ant throwing insults towards me when I'm over here and they're over there? Why would I be insulted by my fellow man who has clearly a lower intellectual capacity than myself? Would I lower myself to be in line with apes? No. You're civil, you're educated, you're above them. Such drivel should not dig under your skin. Olson says, I just hopped in and we're talking workouts in VR. Yes. My third plus exercise. Can I just sit in the corner and drink? You can try doing the stretches at least, Mox. I know you get a lot of workout at your work already, being like a tradesman and all, but you know, join us in the struggle. Once a week, yes. So far, it's not a general opening. It's more of like people I know in the community that can join. I still have to manage a proper schedule that we can commit to so people can properly dedicate their time on that day. Think of it as the beta testing phase for this month. People will always talk about my butt when I stretch. Don't worry, I say the same thing to Meg. He does the funny, like, hip rotation thing. I'm quite happy where I am now. I'm glad you're happy, laugh. What's this? I've been doing those for 2 years now. Have you ever looked into other fellas doing the same? I used to be part of, like, attending Soaring Fitness. But unfortunately, I keep on missing classes and I feel bad, like, showing my face to Searing and Sora and the others. So I just try to work out on my, well, when I have free time instead. Sorry, Sora and Searing. I'm still committing everything you taught me to heart. What's this? Yes, I remember this. Hello, Dip. Lateralos is here too. Good day. How is everything going for you? Pretty okay. Thinking about food as usual. What's new? We also don't have Vesper today. She is out on a field adventure out of town. I would love to join the class. I need to try and do exercise, but I am not as fit. Oh, trust me, it doesn't matter if you're fit or not, as long as you have the willpower, the heart, the gusto to make yourself better. Also, it's fun because we get to be in like our avies, like doing exercise and everything. If you go to my Discord, also stretch. If you go to my Discord, you can actually see a bunch of shots of us mid-exercise. Me included, of course. Wow. Oh my goodness. All right, I needed that. Man, I need like a massage. Maybe I need to just go to the parlor near me, pay $20, get that massage, and call it a day. It's like a 10-minute walk from here. Lateral says, I got a pretty good deal on a Quest Pro headset last week, and I've been enjoying showing off face tracking to my friends. First, it starts with showing off face tracking to yourself, and then your friends. And then yourself and your friends. Face tracking is peak VR chat. Agreed. Nothing brings a character more to life than having face tracking, doesn't it? So much more organic, so much more alive. Bosun replies, there are a few other groups in VR chat doing that. Might find another group with a better schedule. It's okay. I don't want to commit myself to any of the groups and then I'm unable to show up. My fear of disappointment trumps my eagerness for attending such things. Vesper says she is out of town, aka babysit mom while she is getting essentials, groceries from Costco to stock up on frozen vegetables and meat, and then to the mall to get some clothes for dad. I also brought along for that reason because I know how he likes to dress, and mom doesn't. The only downside to it is the microwave built in it is pretty crap. Microphone, Mike, why did it say microwave? I guess I'm hungry. It's like imagining my food spinning. Microphone built in it is pretty bad. I'm considering getting a wireless one to attach to the rim of the headset strap or something. Same here. I'm not using the Quest Pro's mic. Picture says I can finally use my Pro now that I got the replacement right controller for cheap. I'm glad you were able to order parts still. I haven't used my Quest Pro controllers for more than a month now. I recently tried a few days ago to get the thing paired, but unfortunately my right one is unable to anymore. Given the nature of the pairing sequence, I am unable to press the physical buttons because they work no longer. Hence it's stuck in paperweight mode. Why, if it isn't the ever so cool Litz a chat. Hi there. How are you? Guess who got Helldivers, Litz? What's this? No, the parts had to sadly get the full replacement. I see. Okay. Did Vesp get Helldivers? Vesper did get Helldivers. She is the eager rookie in the team. We gotta show her around. Oh boy. We also gotta show her around for honor. My goodness, you are probably a few tiers above in skill at this point. We weren't sparring for 4 hours for nothing. Gosh, so quickly being able to kick Howler's butt. A pro Nobushi player. Yes. Annoying stabby stab. Given that it's gonna be my free day tomorrow, and so is Vesper, I take it that a video game session should be in order if you yourself are as vacant. I hope you are. Why does my headset keep on falling to the right? Hold on. Of course, fantastic. I'm glad. I'll beat your butt. Me and Howler's plan originally was to have you both start at the same time. And then we're gonna bet on who's like better and then go Vesper, go let's. Vesper, I choose you. Okay, hold on. Let me type some stuff. Shit. There we go. Align. There we go. Let's see. Litsa has more bricks. You can definitely freaking out at some point. Yes, you'll be fighting the super rookie Litz. Litz has years of video gaming experience beneath her belt. While we have Vesper, who only recently got into PC gaming a couple of months ago. Prior to that, she's been playing as... What was that? Roblox. Ugh. Half a year, yes. She's been getting a lot of practice under pressure with us playing in Remnant in the higher difficulty modes. Well, Remnant 2, actually. Bested by a brick. A brick. A brick. Oh god, a brick. I have a video about that. Me like numbing on a brick. It's funny to imagine Beth just inside the camper, looking outside the window. Well, that tent's there no longer. Oh my goodness. And then we have Blue just scraping some British butter into bread by the side. Or like motivation. Vesper says, yeah, no Roblox quickly turned sour, and I have no intent to play that. I even revoked my account from my younger sister. I mean, you could have passed the baton and just let your younger sister play instead. Beth says, I mean, both poles look broken. When the rain stops, I'ma start taking out the roll of duct tape. Duct tape, cable tie, and twisties. Yes, always your best friend. And WD-40, yes. Our old engine oil in a pinch. Gasoline to wash stuff. Ah, yeah, that's true. I've been hearing not so good things about Roblox too, Ves. I think it was like a few weeks ago. Sadly, all I have is duct tape in my medical bag. What are you gonna face, Bear? So in the
Chew all 100 on my finger slip Kabaha Mori before I go sleep.
Oh my goodness, you have had a mishap. This kitty this. Thank goodness it's only 100. Couple of more zeros, you might have been broke. But thank you, May. How about you go get some good rest, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by stream. Rest well. Duct tape. Oh man, that tent's gonna look funny. Beth, please take a photo of the tent. Like, like if you can, before you fix it and after you fix it. I'm sure a lot of smiles will be had. Oh my goodness. Even a good angle as they're flying a little bit. There we go. A little bit more alive. Unfortunately, I'm not facing chat anymore. Under the canvas, got it. Everything can be fixed with duct tape, says Nord. Except broken hearts. It seems that plenty nowadays. Along with lacking of common sense. Yeah. What sense? Sadly, truly a tragedy of today's society. Must be strange just watching me in the black background. Should I retain? Nah, this angle's gonna get ruined. Duct tape and super glue is all you need to make a repair. Duct tape, yes. Everything isn't always anything, says the wise old dragon. Good morning, Mitzi. I was just talking about you around 30 minutes prior. Good, your client is here as well. So, Mitzi, let's break it down. You've been sending me a whole wall of text. Now, I've read them. But bottom line is, how much would it be per tracker? For example, a cheesecake. Because we're exploring if it's more economical. Well, we can pay the same price. If it's faster and better to get it from you or from another seller here. I mean, wherever Vesper is. The seller there was selling it for around $45 per tracker, which is a little bit more on the pricey side. We even looked at Somatics and man, why do they mark up their tracker so much? Maybe they have something special I'm unaware of. God says, I must be weird, but whenever I get to hear duct tape, I tend to start looking for a rope, then a chair. Now I have a better view on what sort of character you are once the lights are off, God. Vesper says, duct tape cannot fix the philosophical, but will work for philosophers. Duct tape to the mountain, you don't have to hear anything deep. Oh dear, Vesper, are you rejecting the wisdom from the likes of me and Nord? Nord, because he's naturally like aged already. I got you. Gabos, I hope you're doing well today, says Digifont. So, I am, thanks. Just been itching to play some games. I've just been patching my Avi day in, day out. Oops, I need to fix that. Back, go. There we go. I wish there was a faster way to update a specific option in all of the materials over at Unity. Like, for example, I had to update Vesper's Abby, right? But she has so many stuff, so much separate materials, like 20. And I wish there was a batch edit. It's just a toggle. It's the view clipping prevention that they recently added to Poyomi. It's really nice. I wonder if I can illustrate that. So normally, let's fly the camera closer. Hello. I will attempt to let it bump into my nose. Now normally it shall clip, right? Nuh-uh, it's not clipping. No clip for you. What's this? By the way, Gib, the moment Battlefield 6 arrives on our country is on October 10th, 11 p.m. I am installing Delta. Goodbye, Delta Force. It's been a good run. To be fair, it was free and it offered a whole lot of entertainment. But Battlefield 6, I am looking forward to it. Very much so. That's so sick. I've always hated the camera clipping through. Download the latest Poyomi and you can put the no clipping thing. So whenever you go smooch someone, for example, like, good night, honey. Like, you go smooch them. They won't see your eyeballs anymore. Hello, Charlie. Charlie, what a sweet name for a Protogen. Normally, Protogens I meet are like Gary the Toaster, just some other not so fancy sounding names, but Charlie. Have you met Charlie? Who's Charlie? Charlie's a ram-eating creature, a Protogen. Mitzi replies to my slime inquiry. I'd have to get some quotes from some companies, but I need to know what IMUs preferred before I can send those companies a request. But delivery could be within 2 weeks. Anything but BMIs. I'm fine with LSMs if you can even source them. The BNLs and the ICMs, they're good too. I think what Vesper is after is trackers that can be stacked and charged together. Like the cheesecakes, if I remember. Not sure if it's practical to just order 3 despite the dock like needing 8, but I enjoyed Delta Force Soma. So many absurd gun builds I could do. Somatics are like that. Yes, but they are priced quite high for what they are. What was this new trackers I saw? Aeon Flux, was it? Or something like that? It was like slimes. It was using IMUs and a magnetometer, I think. then something that attaches to your headset. And it had perfect tracking, no drift at all, and no lighthouses needed. It's like, oh wow. Still cheaper than Vives. Don't be like me. I have. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 Vives right now. I know I can get away with 3, but I don't know. I always tend to like order more instead of ordering less and finding out later down the road that I actually need more. The B&Os go for $13 to $16 a pop just for the sensor alone. I see. Hi there, Nia. Nice to see you. Where's chapter 3? What are we talking about? Trackers. Delta Force is way better than 2042. Yeah, considering it's a free game. Really? So just went to get out my headphones. Tent is also filled with... Yikes, Beth. You better move... You know, Beth, you could be in your yacht instead of like in the middle of nowhere inside a camper. Oh, 160, sorry. LSMs are what I use until I got my Vives, and they've been working fantastic, especially with the new stay aligned thing that Slime has. The only thing I didn't like about Slimes was whenever I move from sitting down to like lying down, my feet would like be crossed and whatnot. It's not where it's supposed to be. I'd always have to like quick calibrate. Like it'd be like that, right? Like the Vives they just work, man. You put them on, you turn them on, they just work. That's what I love about it. Except you can't put a blanket over yourself. Don't get me wrong, I have both systems. I have Vives and I have Slimes. So I can properly and have an objective view comparing both of them. Rich, please. No, I've had this for a long time. I just never got to use it. You see, my previous apartment was a rather small living space, and it was under a loft bed, making lighthouses utterly impractical to set up. So I had to use Slimes for a while. A long while. A year. And then now I got my apartment, I blew off the dust on my Vives, and well, here we are. In all honesty, you just need 3. 3 Vives in your set. Whenever I go hang out socially, I just put on 3, and it's very close to this one. It just doesn't have like the arm tracking like this. It doesn't seem... Why don't Slimes use lighthouses? Because it's... Oh my god, let Mitzi explain that to you. Complicated, yes. It doesn't have like the IR sensors, whatever. I got my votes and I have regrets. I have heard nothing good about Ultimates, in all honesty. But I'd never owned one, so my experience on them is rather limited, and it's simply from my friends telling me how they worked on theirs. Oh yeah, there's that. That's true. Ooh, I am used. Yeah. Slow day today, ain't it? Why do you have this much energy this late at night? I'm a night owl, Sword Berries. I'm really tempted to lie down, just like. But no. He gets his, and I think it's the opposite. The blanket monsters like win 8 out of 10 times. A lie down stream. I don't know. I'm not sure how that's gonna look. Oh my god. Wonder what's a nice energy boost. You sit in 4K. So you watch my video, huh? Lie down in 4K. I don't know, chat. That's let's see. Percent is this? 69%. A nice energy boost is kit. I'm cutting down on sugars, unfortunately. Yeah. Sleep stream unlock. No, I'm not gonna be like those other streamers where I'm gonna stream while I sleep. But maybe let's see. Once a certain thing arrives, who knows? That has me worried. How the big screen beyond 2 doesn't have wireless, doesn't it? You have to be tethered. Curious. I wonder if they worked out on enabling the blink. You see, the big screen beyond 2 already has eye tracking, right? Unfortunately, it's not working eye tracking to the extent that you would expect from the likes of the Quest Pro, for example. It's just eye lock. It's just like that. And you never blink. And it doesn't have eyebrow tracking either. They market it as the headset for VR chat, social VR. At the very least, I expect some sort of learning thing from them, where they can emulate the eyebrows without me having to do it manually. Just get Mitsu to modify a BSP. I'm sure he can do it. Gonna get the Vibe wireless adapter and somehow make it work. Or I could have a really long cable and a pulley system again, like my Blitz says, I made some omu rice today. Wait, I made some omu rice today. Delicious. Oh, so did you do the whole Like you gotta cast your magic on the omelette and then draw with the ketchup, right? And you give to the boyfriend or something. I don't think there's another headset that tracks brows better than Quest. I mean, I, it's just a bit of work, but you can make eyebrows work despite not having eyebrow tracking. You just have to do blend trees, a few tricks in Blender and Unity. Angry at the pulley wire. Ugh. Until recently, when I say recently, until I moved into my new apartment, I've been using a setup which has a pulley wire. So that's like a cable going here and then upwards. But to be fair, in my previous streams, I've just been sitting the entire time. Well, look at me, I'm still sitting right now. Mhm. Yeah. You see, the Quest Pro does have cameras to track the eyebrows. It is simply unfortunate, though, that it does not track individual eyebrows. If only. Hi there, Sizu. If only. Those things are so dense, I don't even. It sound. What's this? No, the. Gotta have lids. They like a maid outfit, and then with a headband, and then serving the omurais. That'll be funny. Imagine. Imagine. Summon the open source community to make a full face tracker. I mean, there's Babel. Gabby's just asking to be smacked around. Smacked like a bobblehead. I still have to do the add the bone to the snout so when you smack it, it's just gonna fly off and then come back. Why are your streams always so perfect to sleep to? Because that's the point of my streams, for you to sit down and unwind. It's nice. Here I am, so here I am. I can't sleep, so I'm playing Schedule 1. Hi, T Billy. It's been a while. Geb stream plus rain. Damn it, I'm late for work. Good luck at work. Come on. You gotta get there. Yes, it is a nice chill stream, says Waffle Carp, who decided to come out of the woodwork and say hello. I mean, I can put on more app music. Is that Lumiere? I'll leave that to Beth. The alarm clock is just the intro music of your next episode of life. Intro. Hello, Sugar Cat. Right. I guess this is sort of like the French equivalent of the feels you would get when you play like Stalker or Metro. Artyom. No, instead of Artyom, it's like Pierre, Gustav, Lumiere. I have to open my indexes. My ring finger keeps them being faulty. Quite a bit. Predominantly funded by the community. Aside from my headset, which I got from, well, my savings and my slimes. My full body tracking solution initially cost me like $230. That was slimes that included arm tracking. My Quest Pro I bought for full price. What I thought would be one of the dumbest decisions in my life is actually what made it turn around. If I didn't buy the Quest Pro, I wouldn't be here right now. I bought the Quest Pro around August of 2023. And I only started using it January of 2024. I bought it because I needed motivation to do something. I said, if I have a VR headset, maybe I'll have no excuse not to learn how to make avatars and learn 3D. I ended up just, well, playing more than actually creating. And, well, somehow fate has driven me here, to streaming, keeping you guys company behind the screen. I see you. Oh, there's a nut slushy in that sticker. Thank you for the biddies. still need to work on proportions. The face tracking is always fun to see. Well, I'm glad you're entertained. There. Did you do any research on what VR headset to get? A little bit, like a few days or a week worth. I was. It wasn't face tracking I was originally after. I just wanted something that looked nice. Dare I say I was looking secondhand for the HP Reverb, was it? Because it had OLED and, well, I knew nothing about VR headset back then. Thank goodness I got the Quest Pro. Despite its controller quirks, it does work excellently. It just works. No nonsense, no nothing. It's not the best at anything, but it scores a 7 out of 10 across the board. You see, I've tried the Babel tracker. The guy who makes my slimes also sent me a sample. Despite me calibrating it and using release candidate 2 and 3, I'm not sure if I tried 4. Babel was just wildly inconsistent in what it could deliver, hence I don't really have high hopes about the Big Screen Beyond 2E's face tracking being good. When I say wildly inconsistent, you would see your face jitter. It would do shapes it shouldn't. You will then come to appreciate Meta's trained model on capturing face tracking, which they have like billions of images of, compared to how many user submissions simply used for Babel. A blind buy, but got lucky. We'll see how inconsistent it is when my setup arrives. Also, Beth, apparently it doesn't work great with facial hair. You'll permanently look like this and have your tongue sticking out. From what I've read on the Discord, it's because there is not enough user data submitted, like training data, when it comes to people with facial hair. I had to It's a sacrifice one must make. Maybe because predominantly the ones who use it are the ones with no facial hair, There was a joke in the Discord saying, who's gonna use facial tracking anyway? Aside from the femboys in VR. And so it's the skinny facial hairless guys that the model is predominantly trained on. Maybe that's why my Asian face didn't work so well. My beard. Yeah, if you have a beard, don't expect it to work properly. I have my Babel tracker. It's just sitting there in the box. I tried it wired, I tried it wireless. It's like 60, 70 FPS. But my goodness, it just does not work properly with me. I tried diffusing the IR LEDs, I shifted the angle and whatnot. I 3D printed like mounts of all sorts of placements. there is a sliver of hope. And that's them having a better, more recent release to the training model. I hope so. I really do. Good thing it's open source as Beth. Time to put my old programming hat on. I was looking into it too, like maybe I can learn from my face, and it supposedly does. It has, the last time I checked it, the newest release candidate had an auto-calibrate thing. But that just made things worse. Nothing is more terrible than having inconsistent performance. It's very much like my indexes. Right now, it works great, right? Sometimes it doesn't, like this. My hands are supposed to be closed. That's the best way I can illustrate how Babbel works. There we go. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it's going to do that. Quest Pro is like this. It just works. Close, open. Babbel, sure, you get articulation, but it doesn't work all the time, based on my experience. I hope they can prove me wrong. I have all my hopes pinned on it. It would bring me no greater joy than to have the vast majority of VRChat's player base have face tracking as well. You won't have to interact with puppeteered mannequins any longer. You're actually going to be talking to people, beings before you, with emotions to show, convey, react upon. I assume it's tracking the lips as well, so if the beard is out of the way, there's some good tracking. I suppose you can always try. Beth saved the beard. So Beth's not only gonna have hair absent on the top, but on the bottom too. Oh dear. Since I'm also considering the same big screen plus Babbel setup, I'd be very curious to see how that plays out. Same here, Mitzi. Gab, you're so ahead of the curve. I tried Babbel, the Babbel tracker, I believe was it March or April? I also tried the small slimes, which is essentially what the butterfly slimes are. The small slimes I've tried maybe 2-3 months ago. No, I think 2 months ago. One, they're very comfortable because they're so small, they're so light. They sit pretty much flush on your skin. Two, the charging is really quick. And it lasts the whole day, like 20 hours or more. But, big but, I don't know if it's a quirk in their firmware. I had to return mine. My small slimes, every now and then, would just wildly fling itself outwards and then come back for like 0.2 seconds every now and then. I'm not sure if it's RF interference with the Soul dongle that's there, but apparently it's something known. Maybe Mitzi can divine us with a better answer or insight on the topic, seeing as he's assembling slimes himself. But yes, I had to return it, and I had to stick with my LSMs instead, which just works great. I have not touched small slimes, says Mitzi. I just know their firmware is pretty different from the firmware used for regular slimes. I mean, it's nice because you don't have to use a router anymore for it. but I had high hopes, right? I would have used it if the performance was consistent. Aside from the random of it happening, it worked great. It worked great. Yeah. Right. Winter is coming, so I need to keep the beard for face warm. Yes. Maintain it as so. Ear hair for earmuffs. I don't know if that's nice. But look. So naked without my boots. Let me put it back on. There we go. Kinda funny. The face track will be my excuse to regularly trim the facial hair. I always imagine Mitzi to have been a typical nerdy looking fellow with glasses and a tapered chin. Actually, like that. My image was very far off. Because each time I see you in the VC, you are neck deep into, working on your PCBs with your microscope camera and everything. Beth says, who knows, maybe braiding it away from the mouth will work, perchance. I do have glasses, just don't wear them all the time. Gotcha. I burnt all of those off. No. The tent was not made for winds. Oh, there's the photo. Oh, man. Oh, shoot. Sorry, Beth. The lasagna is ready for the... Oh, man, that is a lot of cheese, Dorian. Oh. Man, I need some of that. If only Dorian was my neighbor, I would come knocking on the door and asking for a portion. What's this? Sorry. I been burnt my smell receptors off. My nose hair kept trimmed like my stash and so soul patch. Oh my god. Hey brother. No, no, who's the guy with the famous soul patch? Like the thing here in the middle. I'm trying to remember. It was in the 2000s. I'll recall it eventually. Lasagna, I do love meat cake. Meat cake is one of my favorite cakes. Probably second to cheesecake. Cheesecake. You know, I have some Greek yogurt in my fridge and I mixed some of it. It was mango, nice and thick and very flavorful. Mix some cream cheese with it and milk. Froze it a little bit, turn it into something akin of a slushy, and the calming sound of a campfire certainly is something that is most welcoming. Well, to me at least. Not everybody is fond of having burning wood, just the meter is so away from them. Me, I like the crackling of the fire though. Even more so when you're within proximity. The soft warmth that it emanates, a sense of security because of the illuminated area around you. Sense of progression as you see wood turn, well, into ash. For you, Nord. Vertebrae. Yes, playing the Tamagotchi game. I saw Doran posting over at the memes channel. How the channel points towards the streamers, essentially you taking care of them. Yes, go stretch, go drink. Wait, I need to find my cable, it got detached. Sorry for the immersion break. Because you are missing more important things then. Like what? Sleep. Eat. Right. I look with the coatless look. Ugh, yes, the workout. You have to stretch and hydrate. You know what? I'm gonna drink just for you, Nord. You too should hydrate and stretch. You know, I did say that Monday has been a terribly slow day, but it's also most calming. It's nice. I don't think I can promise an extended stream though. If I change the angle of this one, will it look better? I'm 1/4 of the way. Oh my god, man. What's that? If only we could combine over points to get there faster. I don't know about that. Excuse me. Funny enough, I just saw one of your TikToks. Which video in particular, Teachy? Teachy Whitefur. What video could that be? Now, speaking of which, Beth, I am excited to have you back home so we can finally try the Astartes mod. I've been holding off from playing. I want to be equally as surprised as you are when it comes to the additions and new stuff. I want to play in Terminator armor. That I want to see. Now, listen, Vesper. Vesper says, we stopped for lunch. Mom is asking why I'm picking at my food. Anyone else save the best parts for last? Same. When I eat a burger, and I know it's really good, I would eat it like a wheel and save the center for that nice last scrumptious bite. Beth, thank you. I have been meaning to get said product. Yes, to have some goober. Slowly eating a burger, how's that possible? By pacing yourself and predominantly focusing on the fries on the side first. Oh, how I miss my twister fries. I'm a big fan of the fries in KFC, you know, the little curly ones. I think it's tastier than McDonald's. Not that fries is healthy, but it sure is filling. McDonald's is okay. Not the best, but it's okay. I also had to throw some food Yami's way. Did you know that that cat of mine has been real like? So this is my play space, right? And then there's a door and this is my bedroom. Whenever I have to go walk to my bedroom, cross the door, he would stop me by swatting me in the ankles repeatedly, and then like doing the cat sounds. No, I'm not gonna say the MAOW. I'm like, hey, 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 where are you going? Hey. And then he will only stop until I go give him his little cat treats. It's like this little cubes. It's like some grass or whatever. And then he'll be satisfied for a while. But each and every time I would stand up and head to my bedroom, I have to pay the toll. A new habit he's picked up here in the new apartment. Things you do for a laugh. What's this? Vesper says, honestly, I try not to get the fries in general, since normally if I get fries too, then I'm too full to finish the burger. Oh yeah, by the way, I think I should remove the subscribers part. Barting here. It's a little cleaner in the. You know what? I'm feeling OC. I'm gonna do it now. Let's see. Stream elements. Come on, buddy. That's the thing Mitzi sent me. Open Sesame. There. Save. Much cleaner, isn't it? Yam is going to make himself fat at the spot. I hope so. I really wish he would gain some weight. He's always been a skinny cat. Gosh. I really hope he does. Does Yami like the new living space? Very much so. He been running around. He's never had the chance. Oh, sorry about that. He's never had the chance to really go run around as a cat should, like having zoomies and whatnot. So, well, him being able to do that is a huge thing. Really is. Have you made the corpse corner cat set? Surprisingly, that's where all of my boxes went. Oh, like it's a miniature storage shed. All of the surplus acoustic panels that I have, all of the what else? Stuff. I'll stuff Blue and Hazard in that corner and turn off the lights. Let's see if anything interesting happens. Steve. You're just gonna hear the British butter being churned. That's gross, but funny at the same time. Doran and Axel or Fluffy can help like scrape it off the floor. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of it, like excess from A very rich harvest. Yeah, Fluffy will be more than happy to, probably use it as a balm on his sprained wrist. Should help him recover faster, like a old remedy. Yeah. Blue, blue, blue. Please, can you give me some of your like British butter? See, I'd be delighted to. Just rub it in the joint, metacarpals and everything. There'll be a lot since he didn't like cardio. Yep, I bet it's going to be a tank full of butter churn. Oh, yes. I look forward to spreading butter democracy alongside you. Oh, the lurkers in the background. Like, what is Gebus talking about? It's an inside joke in Discord. You see, we have a British young fellow who likes making sandwiches with toast in the middle as filling. And when he applied butter, it's as if he just smeared some butter from his fingers on the top and on the bottom. Uneven. What is this I'm feeling? Chat, if I disappear for a few minutes, I'm... yep, hold on, be right back. Dee-dee-dee. I gotta go pee, chat. Pardon me. I didn't know I was muted. I'm back, chat. Sorry about that. What did I say? Yes, we all have to heed nature's call, and it just so happens mine was in the middle of the stream. That is the danger of having to hydrate your stream a bit too much. Well, some people delight in that, I know. Let me go tighten my headset real quick. Now, Tichi says, my cat needs to lose weight, but he's too lazy. Not that he's super overweight, but still a little chunker. I wish I had a cat that was nice and soft. I mean, softer. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty comfortable to be around with, don't get me wrong. Just, all these wires are tangled up. Uh-oh. Ow. Have more of Gab. You know, I'm surprised you guys have hanged on as long as you guys have. That special day. Uh-oh. What's my overlay? Damn it. No. There we go. Plus 7 poison What do you mean plus 7 poison damage? This is a Hydragea. Hydragea. Are you talking about my shovel? Fluffy, you do know what that shovel is used for in under Beth's command, right? I understand why there's poison damage on it. Ugh. My goodness. Which has higher poison damage? A Beth's shovel or like the British butter? Like, no, you can put the British butter on top of Beth's shovel. Beth's encrusted shovel. It is a bit crusty. Oh, of course. All that brown stuff, you know, like with moisture, and after a while it dries up. The soil, yes. Soil and British butter. That's kind of like a chocolate cake, a pastry in which Axel will be more than delighted to consume, given the chance. Unfortunately, Axel's not here. Yes, all the mud. British butter is just the oil you put on the shovel to make it stronger. Exactly. It's like anointing the shovel, you know. I think I spelled it wrong. I'm only finding plants. How about you look for Tokyozilla, teaching? Tokyozilla. That's the author, the creator of the avatar. Finally, some water in the well. Thank you so much, oh wise Gray Whisperer. I appreciate it. And so the funny cool number of a decimal has been changed. Oh my. You're welcome, teacher. I'm curious, teacher. How many ratings does the Hydragia have right now on Gumroad? Still as a decimal. All is good with the world. That's true. That's true. Well, all is right in the Demon King side of the world. Damn, we're the heroes when you need them. Oh. Yeah, hold on. Isn't Nord a hero of light? What are you doing? Why is there a decimal? You're helping the side of evil. I need to clear that out. So, 12 ratings only? Huh. I've known maybe 5 people so far who bought it, but I didn't think it would be so few. Then again, in Tokyo Zilla's Discord, there isn't really a Hydragia that, like, you know how most Discords have a specific channel or subcategory for an avatar? There is none for the Hydra. This Abby could use more love, sure. So, 5 out of the 12. I've met 3 of them. No, 1 is myself, 2nd is Crystal, 3rd is Minisauri. And that's it. The rest are like the ones posting photos over at the Discord. I might get one because it looks cool. It does, doesn't it? Well, why if isn't the hazardous British butter churner blue? Thank you so much for the sub. My goodness, chat, we are 9 minutes away from actually ending stream, and I might actually stick to schedule because I'm getting hungry. Oh God. Oh, nope, there.
The light shall prevail.
The light shall prevail. This is the wise old dragon. Yep, he's
Three
eaten.
months as well.
Well, I will disappear in 8 minutes to eat. Unfortunately, it seems the last move will go to the Heroes of Light tonight. My goodness. Nord here, pulling in a clutch. Thank you. How's the stream been? Oh, pretty uneventful. Not alright for the most part. It's nice having you guys as company as always. Hi, Team Grooty. Agrati. Beth, thank you for subscribing. My goodness, it's been 3 months already? How
Oh dear.
no, no. Invoke the Demon King's ire, and his wrath shall show. Decimals. Gosh. You see, Nordex here is a dragon. He, from my understanding, likes hoarding his treasure. He doesn't part with it ever so easily. I think Nord would even hesitate tossing a coin into a wishing well, thinking it's a waste of perfectly good money. Like, oh, why bother? Then again, we have the captain, just directly beneath the heroine of light, Litza, the reluctant hero, who isn't here. You've been talking about me behind my back again? Of course not. Please. Me? Shh. Look, you can ask Fluffy, Axel, and Doran about it. Rusty shovel, British butter, anointing is mundane topics. Ooh. When does Geb talk about anyone behind? There. I'm gonna watch the phone. Well, good luck scrubbing through all 2 hours and a half of it. I was saying something about spreading money. So it's just managed butter or something. I don't know. Hello, Poof. Welcome to the stream. My God, with the last 5 minutes. Again. Wait. What are you doing? Or it's the opposite. Wait, I think that's wrong. It just came in late. Stream elements, are you lagging? The whole thing about... That's true. He was there for that. He just does not remember. I'm gonna have a fun time in Blender. I'm going to get a tape measure, and then I'm gonna get a tape measure, measure my bones, see its length, make sure it's proper, so that when I lean, like my hands don't float above my knees. It's actually an important thing. It says Beth just with a .01, which is worse. Absolutely worse. I told you, Nord, like having that decimal over there is kind of like when you run your hands across your face and you feel that one stray stubble that you've missed and it's too short for you to pluck out, right? And like you try to, it won't come off. It's like it's there, but you can't get it out without having to lump your butt into the bathroom and like shave it off. My goodness, 3 minutes. 3 minutios. So close. But it needs to do a .99 now. Wonder who. A .99. Good. God, they kind of look like Homelander at this angle. What? It's Doran. Can't even spell anonymous properly. Oh, okay. Thank you for the $1 and 18. Ooh, so close to a correction. Why does things pick up right as I'm about to leave? Gosh. Gosh. Oh, gosh. Gosh.
Let's try again.
It's funny how these two clearly wise older men are butting heads against each other. Though I assume Mr. Nordex actually has a full head of hair. And Beth, though, he's got like the deflection build
nod.
going on. Right? So Beth here sports a wonderful hairstyle of nothing. And you know how I'm not even gonna speak. Gonna let them do their thing. What's this? Blue says, I sent Hazard the blue scale story I wrote a while back. She's interested in me. In my Sona. There we go. All right. You're on the right track. Get it? Thank Rax, right track. I'm not making it fully public. Only to people I like enough, says Blue. Well, keep us posted on what happens. But I do mean it. You two need to take it to DMs, okay? You're putting clutter in the general, like yesterday. So you two find a room, like a chat room. It's what I meant, like a chat room, like a DM, and you continue your totally not flirty conversations there, Blue. He's there. There's no prying eyes from the Demon King. Your best friends, Axel, Mitzi, Fluffy, Doran. Sorry, says Blue. We were DMing a lot yesterday and the day before. Ooh, okay. I for now bow to the Demon King. And so the forces of light concede during this round. My empty. Nord, I thought you had like a cave full of I mean, I'm not asking for it. But last time we were chatting, you said something about having so much to spend on, but nothing to spend on. I jest. Thank you, Nord. Thank you, Bev. Especially for the nice old goober. I'm 100% gonna buy. I'm gonna get some white bread. Yes, the cheapy supermarket bread. And then I'm not a fan of wheat bread. I eat wheat bread, but I'm not a fan of it because of how dry and coarse it is. The cheap supermarket white bread, it's just perfectly dense. It's soft. So yes, and then I'm gonna get the goober. I hope they have it over at the supermarket I'm gonna grocer from. Um, I when can I buy? It's been raining since last week again. Oh, hmm. And I put a piece of toast in between. Ugh. I subscribe to you because I respect. I subscribe to you because I respect foreign furries. Hi from Russia. Hi there. How do I read your name? Type Makek. Type. How do, how do I read your name? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I mean, the follow, yes. Type Makek. It's like touch muck. I'm gonna still my tongue right here. Well, salutations from the Netherlands here. Netherlands, hi. Greetings. I Turmkick. Are you player Warta? That is the most Russian like sentence, and I love it. I I can already see you playing CS2. But yes. Hello, term cake. Term sec or term cake? How do I read it? Term sec? Term cake. Sec. But yes, welcome to the stream, Term. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm flattered because I seem to be. Seem to be holding entertainment value to an extended part of the world. Ironic. People from my country are my lowest demographic of viewers. I think they get bored. They don't have the attention span for this. Oh, all he does is chat. What is this? An extended interview for 3 hours, 3 times a week? Tormsek. Spelled it wrong. Gotcha. Tormsek. I will remember now. Hold on. Isn't Twitch banned in Russia? How am I able to reach you? I mostly came thanks to your TikToks because you're chill. Thanks, teaching. I appreciate it. My yeah. As you notice, my videos they're all literally just small snippets and slices of life. Yeah, I mean of conversations here on stream. Beth says, if you want to get low attention span people, just throw Subway Surfers in there. I can't. That's the thing. I'm not the streamer for low attention span people. I'm not like that very animated guy that's orange, not that guy with a very deep voice that's purple, or all the other, like, you know, Dancy McDancy's. That's in the top row of Twitch, yes, VR chat category. I'm just me. I just talk with you. Gosh, I should name myself an interactive wallpaper at this point. Whew. Russian teaches a foreigner how to read his nickname correctly. Durmsec. There, I'll remember. A VPN, says Blue. I don't know. Oh my goodness, here we are. We're at 2:38. You know what? It's fair. This thing moved. But I am getting really hungry, so I cannot extend like before. Come. Verify. Tichi is a quirky little lizard, mentally impaired and often tired. Interesting. I'm sure you'll get the password in no time, Teach. Good night, Urumsai. Thank you for dropping by. Tichi says, you're the first one that gets my name right. What's hard about saying Tichi? Like, do they pronounce just like, Tai Chi or Tichi, Tichai, Tacha? No, it's not. Why does everybody think the password is popcorn or be kind? Okay, big hint to everybody. The password is not popcorn. It's not be kind. Okay, and it's not 2 words. But it is 2 words, if that makes sense. Oh, what else can I say? Edited messages don't count, by the way. You may have typed the correct answer as an edit, but it will not be accepted. I forget how long it took Beth to get into the server. Never mind, I don't think about it. I think he kind of just slipped in. It's like, oh, I got the diplomatic pass. Yes, sure. People usually say Tai Chi. Why? It's Tichi. Tichi seems to be a name you would give to a diminutive creature like a kobold. Like, come here, Tichi. Tichi, I got some gold for you. Gold for Tichi? Yes, Tichi will be happy. Yeah, that's what I imagine it to be. I'm not good with riddles. It's not a riddle. It's all about observation. The answer is quite literally out in the open. Nothing to guess at all. Took me 10 minutes, as Blue. I was looking at the logs, Blue. It says you left the server a few months ago and then you came back. I wonder what happened. Went in via the global entry lane at the airport, says Bev. That's probably what it was. Global. Oh my god. Blue says, I left because I was scared I'd get banned if I took too long. No. Listen, if you take too long to guess the passwords, it's like a week, we just kick you and then you have to look for the link to get to the server again. Well, Vesper does. I don't do the managing part on that. Were you talking about me, Geb? No. Actually, yeah, I was. Was I? I was. Blue says, I rejoined to have another look and tried guessing the password again. Well, you got it. Congratulations. Global entry lane. Did I get it now? No. You'll know you've gotten it once you see more channels. Trust me. You can keep on trying. There is only so many combinations of two words, says Beth. Tichi, eventually you will get it. Blue says, thing is, I saw the correct answer in the channel, but because it was still there, I thought it was wrong, so I tried everything but that. How did it feel to finally get the password, Blue? As Bev says, if you see a lot of channels, it means you're in. I screamed yes at my phone. Aren't you glad you managed to get in? Very glad. Yeah, good. So I'm gonna have to go and stay from. Oh, by all means, good vibes. Thank you for tuning in. I feel like I'm responsible for keeping random fox here against their will. It's like, no, no, stay. I'm gonna stream for another 2 hours. Bye, Fox. Oh my goodness, Tichi actually managed to get in. Congratulations. Good on you. Gabby kidnapping people and keeping. No. Isn't that the opposite, Bev? I always tell people to shoot. You know what? Stream's officially over, chat. It's been 17 minutes past the date I'd said. And yeah. Oh dear, oh my. There you go. That's the answer. Sorry, Chan. Sometimes these people slip in. I thought I left them all behind over at TikTok, but guess I'm mistaken. I'm going to do a thing, chat. Why is Neon still here watching? go, go get some rest. Okay, chat. Thank you for joining in. Stream is over. You technically can go already if you so wish. Play your games. Go patch up that tent. Go try and get some sleep. I know you've been trying to stay up. Go eat like I am. And go watch your favorite e-girl, furry, gamer, streamer over here. Yes, this funny list. And yes, I will see you again. Wednesday, if not Friday. Yes. As I said, Gab's kidnapping me. A kidnapper. Please, Matthew, I am anything but. Go, shoo, you're free. The door is open. By all means, please exit the venue. The curtains have been drawn. My campfire is about to go run out of campfire fuel. Bye. Oh, what are you still doing here? I'm just listening to some music. Please. I'm not stopping you. Go ahead. Go home. Good thing Vesper's not here to tell you. She is quite busy, preoccupied. Unfortunately. What's that? Mouse and keyboard are out of reach, says Mitzi. Sure. Vesper has no control over his stalling. Tumbong kita. Neon says, I'll tell on you. Tell on me over what? Geb's not ending his stream. He's stalling as usual. Maybe Geb is feeling lazy to stand up and get his food. No. I linger because you linger. What's this? I don't like this track. Linen. Cotton. So I'm going to try and pump the water out of your... Yeah, by all means, please. Don't worry. Chat. Stream's over. 100%. I'm just still here because... I can't leave just yet. I'll probably be back before... No, you won't. Your things. Yeah, please go eat, says Blue.
Gibbous, please go eat. Prioritize your hunger over the stream. I shall leave after sending this. Hopefully others will follow suit.
Stay around, hero. My hands are busy playing schedule. I see. I can't leave. Sure, yes you can. But, you know what? I think I really have to go. Because if I don't go, you guys won't go. We can't have that. I don't keep you here longer than you're supposed to. You Gab, enjoy the food. Bye, Fluffy. Enjoy. It looks like I've been found out. Hello, darling. Don't worry. I'm about to depart soon. I'll go eat. Knowing you, I know you're starving. And this woman knows me well. So, yes. Without further ado, chat, thank you for joining me on this week's starter stream. Monday as usual. A bit of a slow day, yes, but At least I was able to say hi to somebody who is enjoying their vacation. And that's Biff. Well, not right now because his tent is wet and he's pumping out water. And we got a bunch of new faces. We have Tichi, we have, I don't remember the other names, but you know who you are. And my regulars, we have Fluffy, we have Vesper, and all the other names I haven't mentioned. They're, I remember. And yeah, I'm gonna go get some food. No, Nord is here too. um, yeah, sorry. When I saw Orange as your name, Vesper, I will continue to lurk, says Mitzi. Mitzi, before I go, is it more practical to just buy from somebody who already has it, the $45 per tracker, or should we go for you? For Vesper's sake. She just needs 3 trackers. Who the heck's online anyway? Nobody. Eat now or order from a German. Order from a German? What are you selling? Do you have food perchance? I mean, if they already have them, they can ship faster, but it might cost more. I still don't have the pricing. It's more of I trust you more, Mitzi, that you're not gonna deliver a faulty product compared to these other sellers that we have no clear relationship with. You get there eventually, Tichi. Hi, Ren. Let's see. I'll coordinate with Vesper about her trackers. It's funny. I can imagine Beth just groaning. And then it's like siphoning the water from his. Anyway, chat, come on. Stream is legit over. We just hit 3-hour mark. There's nothing more to see here, there, or there. I am quite literally in a black void. What more do you expect? Stream is over. Over. Mitsu says, well, I won't call myself an expert, but I'd very much prefer sending something I've tested and it works. 24-hour stream. Oh, order from a German. I see. Seriously, why are there so many of you here? Over this head, my goodbyes, my farewells until further notice. Vesper says I'm hopefully home in 2 hours. Mom's starting to look herself out of a mall, and I'm getting tired of telling her that ugly patterned clothing doesn't look good on her. Yes, tell off your mom, Bess. No, let her live with possibly bad fashion choices. I see no end sign. I thought you had to go, Nord. What are you still doing here? Oh, the persistence. Hell no, I'm here. Gosh, so stubborn. Does the stubbornness come with age? Dude, look at me, I'm 4,500 years old. Yes, like I said, it's too comfy. Well, you still have to type your introductions over at the Discord, Tichi. If you don't type it within a day, back out the gates you go. Really has enough bad life choices as is. I bet. Hello, apple pie. Damn, apple pie sounds good right now. Nice hot. Maybe just one. Ah, soft, crumbly. Almighty space dragon of the galaxy. That's not me, that's Vesper. Vesper from space. I'm the opposite. I'm from like down there. Vesper. Stop. Hydrate and be sure to eat plenty. Isn't space just a void? Yep. Vesper came from the vast emptiness, the vast cornfields of space. The Midwest of the universe. Okay. The Midwest of the universe. Pretty much. Also, for the love of God, Gordon, don't try to please everyone. It's impossible. You're going to dig yourself into a hole that's difficult to crawl out called burnout and questioning yourself for it. There you go. That is the wisdom from Vesper. With that being said, I really am going to bid you adieu. So I can still see you on Wednesday. Or maybe Friday. I want to play some games. How do I do this? Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. And good night. See ya, chat. It's been nice having you. I expect to see you again next stream. Yes. Daddy, yes. I hope it is. The answer to you.
Oh.